I love the good work of the Sustainable Food Center. Thanks for sharing your story with us. And right now we're going to be talking about gardening on the go, or gardening if you live in an apartment. And we're joined by Amanda Moon from It's About Time. It's
Hi.
great to have you back on the program.
Thank you.
And there are lots of gardeners out there who do live in apartments, and you've got some really helpful tips.
I do. I brought a large collection of things today that are easy to do in containers and take with you no matter where you go.
All right, well, let's get started because there's some cool plants. We're going to start off with one of my favorite winter plants. It's cyclamen. I just love the form of the flower on this plant. I love I like everything about this.
The flowers are beautiful, and the nice thing is they come in different colors. You can get red, white, purple, pink to match whatever you're trying to do. Wonderful in holiday decorations, and then you've got them until early spring.
Right.
Keep them in morning sun, and they're going to bloom for you constantly.
When you plant a cyclamen, you do need to be aware that it's a seasonal plant.
Yes.
That it is an annual for all intents and purposes here in Central Texas. So enjoy it while you have it and show it.
Exactly. I usually buy them as soon as they're available, and that way I get the most bang for my buck.
I associate them with the wintertime here, and they're very cold hardy.
Yes.
Very
and they
cold.
just bring the color when it's so gloomy outside.
Right, right. They sure do. Well, you also brought an unusual variety of begonia.
Yes.
And this one has an unusual name as well.
It's called Cowardly Lion.
Cowardly Lion.
And
I love that.
Over the years, has become one of my favorite begonias. It is so decorative, so ornamental, yet has shown to be quite cold hardy. Not a freeze, but I've had it in the 30s multiple times without damage, and it's one of the easiest to grow, I think. Just keep it on the drier side. They don't want to be soggy wet.
Right. Well, that's the whole thing with begonias is excellent drainage. Make sure that it's dry before you water it.
And morning sun.
Okay, morning sun, add that to the list. But I can see why they call it the Cowardly Lion. It looks like it's wearing a lion's mane here.
It really does.
Yeah, what's the flower color on this?
It's going to be very pale, kind of a whitish pink, like a lot of the rest of the begonias.
Okay, well, the plant itself is super attractive.
And great in a basket or a container.
Okay, all right. So we have also a variety of different bulbs, and again, a lot of people who think, who live in apartments think, bulbs I can't do. But you've brought some to prove that they can.
Absolutely.
We're going to start with amaryllis, which is a great container plant.
Fantastic container plant. Normally when you buy them, it's in the wintertime.
Of course.
And they have been treated so that they bloom during the holidays. But once you're finished with the December, move them up into a little bit larger container. You can group all different colors together, and they will bloom for you in the spring reliably every year with very little care.
They're a fantastic garden plant in Central Texas. I love them. You can mix them into a larger container, mix the colors up, and it just puts on such a stunning show.
An amazing show. One of my favorites for naturalizing actually is apple blossom.
Yeah.
It's a pink and white and does so well here.
Well, it's a commonly found one, too.
Commonly found, easy to buy.
Easy to buy, right, for sure. Well, you also brought a couple of other of my favorite kinds of plants. And this one is the what we call schoolyard lilies, sometimes called hurricane lilies as well. Oxblood.
Oxblood
There you
lilies.
go. There you go. Okay.
The reason that they're called schoolhouse or hurricane lilies is because they typically bloom in September with the first rain of fall.
Right.
And what's so amazing about these little red flowers is that you can water them all day long, but until they get rainwater, they won't bloom.
Right.
And my dad was actually able to get them to bloom in August last year using rainwater he collected.
Oh, he collected the rainwater.
Collected.
Smart. But again, and this is one I actually have moved from one place to another very readily. You can just dig them up and bring them with you.
Along with bearded irises, they
you
are
brought some bearded iris and
fantastic to dig and divide.
Right.
They're known as pass-along plants because once you've got them, you share them.
Right.
And just a simple pitchfork can just knock them out of the ground, and they will grow in a container or in almost any soil happily for decades and decades.
Yeah, they do well in either kind of location, and they're a super plant.
And your irises are going to bloom in the spring into early summer. Wonderful fragrance in most of them. And your oxbloods are going to bring you that color in the fall when everything is dormant.
Okay, so bulbs check.
Exactly, exactly.
We can do that. Okay, now you've also brought a form of succulent known as a desert rose, and the succulents are great container plants.
Succulents are fantastic container plants. They're great for an apartment or a small area where you've just got a porch. Now, the desert rose is going to need more sun, so if you have a west-facing apartment, it's a fantastic idea. Shades of pinks, whites, and reds even you can find in desert rose, and it needs to be on the drier side, so it's easier for people that aren't home very much.
Well, I love the form of this plant, and people can't see the base, but they often form really spectacular trunks.
Beautiful rounded mounds of trunk.
Right, a really great plant. Well, you brought an unusual form of Japanese maple as well. And again, a plant that most people who live in apartments may think that they're excluded from, but this is one that grows readily in a container.
Yes, there are several dwarf varieties. This is a bihu, and the nice thing about these is they are available online in small pots. So if you've got a small budget, you can still afford a Japanese maple. If you've got more of a large container you're trying to fill, there are fantastic blood goods and tamukiyamas that can be purchased at many local nurseries.
Sure. Now this form has incredible color in the twigs and the trunk.
So it's a coral bark maple. The whole idea is that once it loses its green leaves that turn to yellow in the fall, you've got a fantastic yellow and red bark all winter, and it doesn't have to be moved inside. So it can be kept as a texture year-round.
My first Japanese maple, I lived in an apartment, and I kept it as a houseplant.
Well, they love the shade here.
Yeah, it worked really well. Plant lived for decades, actually. Right behind the Japanese maple, we have a lovely little selection of other succulents, including some very colorful kalanchos.
Yes, and kalanchos are actually one of my favorite house plants. They've got quite a bit of winter hardiness. I've had them go in the upper 20s. They actually grow them in the ground in Houston, and they bloom in the fall and winter many times. And so you can get color late in the season. Great to pass along to friends, make fantastic cuttings, and just really a great plant for an apartment beginner.
Well, and the colored forms now are so bright.
They really are, and they've got, here again, the pinks, the whites, the yellows. They've got doubles now that are available, but I like the old standbys.
Yeah, those warm colors, right. Well, right next to the kalancho, we have a strawberry plant, and again, fantastic for containers.
Not only fantastic for containers, actually in our area, almost do better.
Yeah, I think they do, actually.
Fantastic in hanging baskets. They'll drape down and they'll produce strawberries at the ends of their runners. And so they're beautiful, white flowers, red berries, but fantastic to eat. And they're a great plant for kids to grow in small spaces.
Right, you know, a good loose potting soil, a good drainage again is
Lots
key.
of drainage.
But a wonderful plant, and if you have a sunny patio, it'll do really, really well for you.
Just watch the western exposure. If you've got a western exposure, probably 3 o'clock on, get it in a little bit of shade.
Okay, very good. Right below the strawberries, we have some beautiful lettuces, and I love lettuce gardens in containers.
These lettuces are called cut and come again, because the idea is you trim the outside leaves off as the new leaves push up in the center, and they stay fairly small, so that you can either seed or buy small starter pots of these lettuces and have these fantastic mixed containers and a garden in less than 12 or 18 inches of space.
Right. Well, and they're so colorful.
Very colorful. The only thing you want to watch is if you're growing your lettuce in the winter, when we do, many of them are not freeze hardy. So you would protect them if we're going to drop below freezing.
Right. You either cover them with floating row cover or just bring them inside.
Or just bring them inside if they're in a small pot.
Yeah, that's easy to do. Lots of different annuals available for folks. You know, this is, if you want color, it's really easy to do.
It is. I love the idea of using annuals when you're renting because they're so inexpensive. You can buy them in 6-packs. And even, for example, the Texas Bluebonnet is many times available in 6-packs. And what many people don't realize is they grow quite well in a container. They are annuals. They will go to seed. You will need to swap them out.
Sure.
But then you swap them out for summer begonias and purslane and things like that.
Just keep it moving.
Just keep it moving, and that way you have color 12 months out of the year.
Well, you brought along a scabiosa that we're going to take a quick look at. This is a tricky plant for a lot of people here.
And yet I found this year planted it in a good potting soil that did not have excess fertilizer or water pellets in it, I might add. But it sat on my driveway in a western exposure this summer when we went 60 days without rain. And all I did was watered it every day to every other day. And it survived beautifully.
It's a beautiful plant, and I love what you're sitting on, which is these galvanized metal containers make great planters.
That to me is the way to cheat when you're renting. I have used galvanized containers for years because they come in every shape and size. You can get them at flea markets and you can buy them new. Right. And I have grown anything from roses to tomatoes. Make sure you punch holes in the bottom. You've got to have that drainage.
Okay, very good.
And last but not least, don't forget that you can always buy inexpensive houseplants and put them in decorative containers to add an amazing punch of texture in your house or on your porch.
Well, Amanda, you always bring so many cool things. We're going to run out of time before we get to talk about them all, but real briefly, I know that you're going to be moving this spring.
Yes, and we have a newsletter actually that we put out every week that not only has anything from sales and coupons, tips, but it's going to keep you updated on where and when we're moving. Okay. We're going to stay real local.
Okay, well, we're glad you're local.
Thank you.
We're glad you're also a friend of the program. Thanks for stopping back by.
Thank you for having me again.
Okay, lots of great ideas for renters, and now it's time for our friend Daphne.